Tonight, I'll take you back, far beyond the ruins, before the Empire. 2. A time when Rome was young, proud, and terribly unprepared. Picture it. A warm summer night. The city sleeps as the stars above are silent. The torches on the walls flicker low. And high atop the Capitoline Hill, the sacred heart of Rome, all is still, but something is coming. Not from the skies, not from the gods, but from the shadows of the cliffs. Silent feet, cold steel, breath held in the dark. Rome is about to fall, and the only thing standing between survival and destruction is a flock of geese. Rome. It wasn't always an empire. It started small mud huts on 7 hills, farmers and shepherds surrounded by rival tribes. But the Romans were different, proud, disciplined, unbreakable in spirit. They didn't have gold or palaces. They had order, laws, loyalty, and something stronger than swords. Belief in Rome itself. Little by little, they expanded, fighting, negotiating, surviving. And just when they thought they were untouchable, the Gauls came. Far north, past the Alps, lived the Gauls. Fierce Celtic warriors, loud, wild, painted. They didn't wear armor like Romans. They didn't fight like them either. In 390 BCE, a Gallic tribe led by Brennus crossed into Italy, not to conquer, but looking for land. But when a Roman ambassador killed a Gallic noble during a negotiation, Brennus didn't forget, didn't forgive. He turned to his men and said, "We're going to Rome." The Romans rushed to stop the Gauls at the Allia River, just miles from the city. It was a disaster. The Roman line crumbled. Soldiers panicked. Some ran back to the city. Others jumped into the river, never to be seen again. The Gauls barely had to fight. Rome was wide open. No walls, no plan. No chance to stop them. For the first time in its young history, Rome was defenseless. Word of the defeat spread like fire. Chaos took hold. Citizens fled. Temples were emptied. Priests carried sacred relics out of the city. Women and children ran toward the countryside, but everyone ran. The Senate, the old men who governed Rome, chose to stay. They dressed in white togas, sat in the forum, and waited. No weapons, no fear, just Roman dignity, waiting for death. Brennus entered a ghost city. Streets deserted. Homes empty. Fires burning. Then he saw the senators, sitting in silence like statues. One Gallic warrior touched an old man's beard. The senator slapped his hand. The warrior drew his sword. Blood splashed the floor of the Senate. The rest followed. Rome fell, not with a scream, but with silence. But all of Rome hadn't fallen. A small group of soldiers, citizens, and priests had retreated to Capitoline Hill. The heart of the city, a natural fortress, steep cliffs, narrow paths, sacred temples. They fortified the top and vowed to defend it. With them were a few dogs and a flock of sacred geese kept for the goddess Juno. Even starving, no one dared harm the geese. They were holy. They were untouchable. And soon, they would prove it. Brennus tried to take the hill by force, but the cliffs were too steep, so he surrounded it. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months. Inside, the defenders rationed grain. Some drank wine instead of water. Hope faded, but they held firm. Outside, the Gauls camped and waited. No one spoke of surrender, but everyone wondered how long they could last. The geese, well-fed and pampered, watched silently. One night, the Gauls made their move. Under moonless sky, their best warriors climbed a narrow cliff, path steep, forgotten, barely passable. They moved silently, step by step, up the rock. The guards were asleep. The dogs didn't bark. No one noticed, except the geese. They rose from their nests, honking wildly, flapping wings, screeching like thunder. They screamed in alarm and woke a soldier. The noise roused Marcus Manlius Capitolius. He grabbed his sword, sprinted toward the noise, and saw a Gaul climbing the wall. Without hesitating, he shoved it back. The Gaul screamed, crashing to the rocks below. Other Gauls followed, but now the Romans were awake, pouring out to defend. Spears flew, swords clashed. Surprise attack collapsed. Thanks to the sacred geese, at dawn, The hill stood strong. The Romans rejoiced. The guards who had fallen asleep punished. The dogs, some say they were executed for failure. And the geese, those birds were heroes. They were praised, paraded, and fed like royalty. For centuries to come, Rome would honor them in ceremony. They weren't just birds anymore. They were guardians of the city. Soon, the defenders were starving. They agreed to pay the Gauls to leave, 1,000 pounds of gold. As the Romans weighed it, they accused the Gauls of cheating with rigged scales. Brennus drew his sword, dropped it on the weights, and said, "Vi victis." Woe to the conquered. Rome had no choice. The gold was paid. The Gauls prepared to leave. But legend says at the last moment, a Roman general named Camillus returned with a fresh army. He declared the ransom illegal and attacked. The Gauls, caught off guard, were driven out. Some say it's myth, others say it's truth, but the story stuck. Rome was free. Again, Rome would never forget. Every year after, the geese of Juno were paraded through the streets. Children threw flowers at their feet, priests blessed them, veterans saluted them, because in Rome, even animals had a role to play in glory. The dogs had failed, but the geese had saved everything. What's the lesson? That greatness is built on alertness. Even the smallest creature can change history. Rome wasn't saved by generals or kings or gods. It was saved by a noise in the night, by a goose that refused to stay quiet. And maybe that's something we should remember. Sometimes the world falls asleep, and someone or something must stay awake. And when danger comes, let the goose awake.